right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother
Hi.
Banjo, and I am one of the hosts of Back Catalog Listening Party. Today, I'm flying solo, so if it's a little hiccupy, not as smooth as when my good friend Anthony Ihrig is pushing the buttons, that is why. But I'm happy you are all here for the party, and joining me today on the show, we have Grace Pettis. Hi, Grace.
Hello.
And you are joining us from New Orleans today, right?
Yeah, kind of insane. I meant to get here a little earlier, but I ran into a tropical storm. So I just kind of crashing at a friend of a friend's house and using their Wi-Fi for this. So here we are.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad it's A, exciting that you're on the road again, and B,
Yes.
I'm happy you made it through a tropical storm to join us today. And then also joining us today, a special guest. I mean, Grace is our special guest, and then she brought a special guest, Billy Crockett, who is a wonderful songwriter, musician, producer, engineer, and he produced Grace's record. So he's joining us. Are you joining us from your home in Texas?
Yes, Wimberley, little town in the hill country of Texas.
Wonderful.
Yes, and I'm in the studio right now.
Excellent. The studio where this record that we're going to talk about was made?
The very one. Yeah.
I am so excited about that, and we're going to dig into that. But first things first, it is Friday, and we've made it through another week. So it's that time. It's happy hour. And this, normally I am based in Minneapolis, but today, I've been traveling for the last few weeks. I was in the Adirondack Mountains for the last couple of weeks, and now I moved the mobile studio has now moved to Connecticut at my parents' house. So it's actually 5 p.m. here. So
Nice.
even more reason to get the beverage going. And it looks like Alan, let's see, we have Alan from Texas as well. Nomo Mocha Coco. It's back to gin and tonic. Alan's one of our regulars here on the show. And let's see, we got Connie from Richfield. Joe, of course, he always has the John Prine in hand, vodka and ginger ale. And then Gary High from St. Michael. So we'd love to know what you're drinking, where you're tuned in from. This is just a musical happy hour. It's a lot of fun. And Grace, I know you've been on the road, so you might not have a fun beverage. You might have water,
I was gonna
right?
say I would be getting happy with you guys if I didn't have to drive in the rain after this. But whenever I get where I'm going, I'll partake.
Excellent. So, Billy, what are you drinking in the studio? Are you allowed to drink in the studio? First of all, do you have rules about that?
In the studio.
There's no.
True.
You can drink anything you want. Do not set it on the console.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
the only rule.
I was going to say,
And
we're going to get into the gear later, but you have a pretty fancy console over there. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, I'm sure.
So yes, I am having some happiness now in tribute to the tropical storm that Grace is going through, because you can't. I am, and it is. I don't know if you can see this. I'm having an El Chingon,
Perfect.
which is Spanish for the chingon.
Yes. As we all know.
I
I
love
looked it
it.
up. I actually had to look it up. I'm sorry to say, but I'm so glad I did. It means the badass.
Oh, nice. Nice. Well, it seems appropriate because we all know Grace is a badass. So that seems
Yes.
very appropriate. Right now I am drinking, because I've been traveling as well too. So I did not have a chance to pick up something a little more interesting, but I'm drinking a sparkling grapefruit drink. But it looks nice, fancier than it is. It's just a Fresca. But
Oh, it looks very fancy. But
it's all about the presentation, putting it in a fancy glass. So
well done.
exactly. Well, we are so happy to have you all here. Whatever you're drinking, wherever you're tuned in from, whatever time it is, whether you've made it through a tropical storm or not, the Back Catalog Listening Party, we invite different artists on to talk about old records and what went into the making of them. And I'm really excited to talk with Grace today about her debut record. It came out in 2009. And Grace, maybe you could kick things off by just giving a little background about yourself for folks who might not be familiar with your music, how you got started in music. You might have had a nudge from a family member, perhaps. I don't know.
I had a nudge. I had a nudge in the other direction. my dad is a musician and a long-time friend of Billy's, and but he was very protective of all of us kids, and especially me, and wanted us to have nice normal lives with degrees and spouses and kids, and and so he was not all about us being musicians, but yeah, I ended up doing that anyway. And I found Blue Rock, Texas when I was still a teenager. I think Ellen might have frozen, but did she freeze for you too, Billy?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we'll give that a minute.
But I can hear you, so probably we all can.
So probably we're all still live. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I'll just keep going then. I'll just pretend Ellen's moving. Bless her heart. I get it. Wi-Fi. It's an unpredictable thing. But yeah. Oop, we lost her. Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep going until she comes back. So
Ellen says it's working. So
okay, great. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so, moved out to Texas when I was a teenager to go to college. My dad sent me to meet up with Billy and Jody. Is Ellen back? Are you back? You're back.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I
No
just had a
worries.
little flicker on my Wi-Fi, but you were talking about your dad. I gathered that.
Yeah. So he wasn't necessarily all about the idea of his kids like following in his broke footsteps, but he got used to the idea, and we all do music of some kind now. But I wanted to bring Billy on here today because this first record that I made when I was like, I can't even remember how old, like 20 or something, 21. It was very young. And had never really sung into a microphone, had not played any gigs. Billy was my songwriting mentor in Texas. He was the one who encouraged me to pursue this thing that I really desperately wanted to pursue. So I think about this first record in a lot of ways as a collaboration because I didn't know what genre I was. I didn't know any of those things. I had no idea how to approach making a record. So it really was, it was a careful thing that we did. And I think we did a good job. I think he did a great job. And so this is sort of a Russian doll situation, nesting doll situation of guests on the show. But I think it'll be worth it.
I love it. That's great. And again, making it in Wimberley, Texas at Blue Rock Studio. We're going to dig into all the geekiness because I know if Tony were here, my co-host, he's the gearhead. He'd be sad if we didn't get into some of those things that Billy can wax eloquent about. So we're going to talk about those things too. And let's dive into the record a little bit and see what happens, and also see if I can stay stable throughout the show. So. So right now, the first song we've queued up is 9 to 5 Girl. Is there anything you want to say about this, Grace, or Billy, before we dive into the song?
Directly inspired by real world experience in college. Yeah.
I love it.
I'd love to say something.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. See, this is a classic example of what Tony,
live.
Of live, and also what Tony would somehow already have this all queued up to go. But anyway, so talk about it, Billy.
9 to 5 Girl.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
He's back.
Okay, you are all good.
We keep phasing in and out like our molecules.
All I have to say is it's a good thing I'm drinking a sparkling grapefruit beverage, not whatever Billy's drinking. That's all I've got to say.
Well, and your desire to remain stable, I wish you well with that.
Oh, it's a losing battle.
I will not be remaining stable, most likely.
Good for you.
9 to 5 Girl is so, it's arrestingly real. It's just so rare for a songwriter, especially a young songwriter, to not feel this, but to articulate it so beautifully and efficiently, in which we have to do. And oh my God, I listened to it again before the show. And I just can't believe how evocative every single word of this song is. So I just want to say that.
Ah, love it. Okay, well, we're going to listen to it right now. Hopefully, Grace Pettis with 9 to 5 Girl here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I'm good at passing tables, I'm good at folding clothes, I'm good at hiding my frustration so nobody knows. I'm handy with the register, I'm friendly to the customers. I smile my smiles that don't look fake, and I make half of what you make. I am your 9 to 5 girl, yours to ignore. Part of the scenery, American machinery. 9 to 5 girl, small in this world. A certain mix of tough and sweet, making just enough to drink. For all you know, that's all there is to me. 9 to 5 girl. You'll never know just what it takes to get myself up every day. When you leave me that $1 tip, you think there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, if I did not need a dime, I'd give you a piece of my mind. Throw this coffee in your face, get myself out of this place. But I am your 9 to 5 girl, yours to ignore. Part of the scenery, American machinery. 9 to 5 girl, small in this world. A certain mix of tough and sweet, making just enough to drink. For all you know, that's all there is to me. You tap me on my shoulder even when I'm on my break, and you're talking to my manager 'cause you don't like the way I say yes sir. I am your 9 to 5 girl. 9 to 5 girl. You're 9 to 5 girl, yours to ignore. Part of the scenery, American machinery. 9 to 5 girl, small in this world. A certain mix of tough and sweet, making just enough to drink. For all you know, that's all there is to me. Yeah, for all I know, that's all there is to me. A 9 to 5 girl.
All right. So Grace Pettis here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, and 9 to 5 Girl from her 2009 self-titled debut, produced by Billy Crockett, one of our other guests today, and recorded in his amazing studio, Blue Rock in Wimberley, Texas. And Billy, you are absolutely right. Like, it's a lot of songs have been written about working girls and paying the bills, but I have to say, it rings true, but also I love that, especially knowing you now, Grace, a lot better. Like when you talk about you don't like the way I say no, or you don't want to talk to me, you want to talk to my manager, and I was like, yeah, it's funny because in a weird way I feel like this song could be about a musician too, not just
Yeah, there's a little bit of
someone
that.
waiting tables or whatever.
I haven't listened to this track in a long time actually, or the record in a while, and it just occurred to me, like, no musician's first record has any right to sound this good. Like the band, the production, like it's just,
I love it.
It's crazy. Like I was barely not a teenager. I can't believe he let me do that.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Grace, you brought it. You brought it. That song went right out and won stuff. Like that won the what?
Yeah,
it
won the
Mountain Stage.
Mountain Stage NPR's new song, and it was picked that song. So there were a lot of winners that year. One of them was Betty Sue. Like Betty Sue and I were in the same new song class together.
Destiny.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that song got like best song of 2009, and I believe that contest was like my first gig. So,
wow. That's great.
It was a good year. But I think, the importance of having a really quality recording, especially like in 2009 when, if you remember, like this is like the era of Napster and like, and the whole industry just imploding, and everything suddenly being free and everybody having the ability to record at home, but it not like sounding that great, because we all had GarageBand, but nobody knew how to use it. And no one could afford to make records because, all of a sudden everybody was terrified that no one would buy music again in any way. And so that was like the climate that Billy decided to produce the record for a girl living in a dorm who like couldn't afford to buy herself ramen. So it was really, really a big risk. And it did. It gave me a career in a lot of ways because I then took those tracks and entered a bunch of contests and went to conferences and booked gigs and with the contest wins and then used those to book more gigs. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I love that. I love that last couplet, Grace. It's so rare and great. That's a kind of maturity that you had when you were just starting out. Well, I will say this, we met you when you were just coming to college at St. Ed's and your father said, here's Grace. Give her a place to crash sometimes and a bowl of soup whenever she needs it. And
this is the best tasting bowl of soup I've ever had. That's this album. Yeah.
So, but there you were, and you would come and help us. You would volunteer at the shows that we did, and you would take tickets at the door, and you were on a hospitality team. But then afterwards, typically we'd sit out back and pass a guitar around with John Gorka and all these people, and you were singing songs that were, I would say, they started out beautiful, but kind of typical angsty teenager stuff. But very soon they started to turn, and we started to hear things out of you that were remarkably clear emotionally and from a craft point of view and just from an honesty that was arresting to us and to me. And so when we worked together on this record, you had brought me demos that killed me.
Aww.
And they still do. And I love this record. I love it.
Thanks. This is why, now you know why I brought him on. So I don't have to talk about myself. Like he can it's great. Thank you, Billy.
But really think about it. That last couplet, for all you know, that's all there is to me. And we've heard you say that now 3 times, and that's the end of the chorus. But you end the song by saying, for all I know, that's all there is to me. And the kind of the longing in that, and just the longing in that. You gave it one more twist of the knife. and it hurts so good. It just does.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Dolly shirt today. I didn't even mean to do that, but here we are.
Well, if you just joined the Back Catalog Listening Party, we're talking with Grace Pettis, who's our guest today, talking about her 2009 self-titled debut, which was recorded in Wimberley, Texas by Billy Crockett, who is also joining us today. And again, worked with her at the very beginning and did at least a few records together, right?
Yeah.
Two records. And this was definitely my introduction to your music, Grace, was this record when it came out. It was like one of those albums going to like Folk Alliance and various places where folks were like, have you heard Grace Pettis? You should check out this record. Like the folk DJs, they were all talking about it. And I was like, oh, and then of course I got it and I was like, yeah, this is great. And I played it on my radio show and then I got to see you perform. And then I was like, oh yeah. I was like, that's really annoying. She's so young and so good.
And
I remember meeting you at that conference.
I was in her band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At that point, we had a really fun band with Deirdre Deirdre Smith at the time.
Yeah.
And but that Folk Alliance, I know the one.
Mm-hmm.
I know the one. Yeah.
It was life-changing. It was great.
Well, it was. I tell you what, I saw you, Grace, own it. I saw you stand up in front of that very special community and say, we're going to get to know each other now.
Well, I remember
that was stunning to me. The kind of presence, it wasn't ego. It was a sense of calling, I thought.
Thank you. I remember that the first couple of shows we played together, my introductions were very long. and I remember that your lovely wife, Dodie, who has like a real gift of like communication. She's great with strangers and people and kind of creating a rapport with anybody. And she sort of helped me hone like, the elevator pitch of each song.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember that. And I wrote them down. It's like, well, Grace,
she's
come
good
up
at
with
that.
pare this down to 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting some great questions, and we got one from Joe who said, "Did you do Two Birds Together?"
We
which
did,
was
yeah.
your next record, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful album as well. So, and we will make sure to get up here that if you can get all of Grace's music online. Also, Grace has an amazing new record called "Working Woman" that's out now, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But yeah, if you want to get. Oh wait, that's not the right one. Let's see. We'll get it up there in the chat in a little bit. But gracepettis.com is where you can find all of her music. So, again, we're revisiting this record. We only got through one song so far, so we need to get moving because I know. Well,
That's what I'm saying.
I know folks are antsy to hear the tunes because we got some big fans here who are joining us today. So, the next song we've queued up is Love Is There. Is there anything you want to say about it before we dive into it?
I wrote this on the way home from my job at Starbucks at the time. I was living with my friend Judy, and I was walking home and wrote this song. We had just had a situation at our church that was really disturbing to everybody at the church where one of our community members had been outed by the police as a sexual predator of children. And it was in the news, and it was very, it was horrific. It was one of these double life situations. The family didn't know, all these things. And so the whole church community was just like grappling with this. This is a little hippie church in Austin called Journey. And it came out of a lot of conversations with a guy named David Gentiles, who was there at the time, and another guy named Rick Diamond, and they were sort of co-pastors. And I was talking to them about, I think it was Rick that went and like visited him in prison and had conversations with him and how difficult that was for him on a personal level to like pastor somebody like with that level of darkness in their soul, And so it was just an interesting conversation. And then talking to David Gentiles, who was a real important figure in my life at the time. He passed away, but he was an amazing guy. Billy knew him too. And that's where the song came from. Yeah. It's sort of a prayer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's take a listen to it right now. This is Grace Pettis with Love Is There here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
left us. Love is there with a battered wife. Love is there with the orphan in the night. Love is there with the homeless in the rain. Love is there, and in the middle of our pain, love is there. Love is where you are, and you are with us now. In the broken places, in the empty spaces, love is there somehow. And I remember a kiss. Love is there in the razor at her wrist. Love is there in the drunkard's dream. Love is there when it's hard to leave. Love is there. Love is where you are, and you are with us now. In the broken places, in the empty spaces, love is there somehow. So with lovers romancing, love is there. With a little girl dancing, love is there. With the stillborn and his mother, love is there. When we kill each other, love is there. Love is where you are, and you are with us now. The broken places, in the empty spaces, love is there somehow. Love is there somehow. Love is there. Love is there. Love is
All right. Grace Pettis here on the back catalog listening party with Love Is There. And yeah, powerful song, just as Connie said. And Joe pointed out here, this has an R&B feel. Any roots there? And yeah, tell us a little bit about what inspired the production of that song and how it might feed into your music in general.
Most definitely R&B roots, because I grew up part-time in Atlanta. I grew up in Atlanta and in rural Alabama, just back and forth with divorced parents, like many millennial kids. So yeah, like I grew up, most of my friends in elementary school, middle school. I came back. Are we there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most of my friends were Black. When I was in elementary school, I was like the only white kid in my grade for a few years in Atlanta. So definitely heard a lot of R&B and hip hop growing up. Big influence on the way that I use like internal rhyme, I think, within like verses. Yeah, it's funny. I like hear it now, but a lot of what I was listening to then, and still, like Lauryn Hill is like a massive influence on me. But yeah, I was just remembering the choir with you guys backstage, and one thing that I had forgotten, and you can really hear her at the end, is that Gina Chavez is in this choir.
So awesome.
Yeah, it was like, I'm just going to read the names. It's like Lamar Stockton, Chase Gassaway, Gina Chavez, Judy Sawyer. That was my friend I was living with. Nathan Hubble, Angie Kogutz, Chris Lopez, my husband now, and Dave Madden, who's a good friend as well. And yeah, but Gina is on my new record too. And she's now like a Grammy nominated artist. We were just like two girls with guitars, like playing open mics at the time. And she generously offered. All those people did that for free. They, you know, because I was broke, and they were just like musician friends. And so they just came and did it, you know. Amazing. Amazing.
That's so great. Well, I would love Billy to know more about, some of the other players on this record. I mean, those were some of just folks that Grace roped in. Were some of the other folks session players or folks you worked with? Or
Yes. I love the feeling of the band on this project.
Yeah.
It feels so integrated. And that song, for all of the beautiful, dire, graphic, bloody images of it just grooves. And the great Rick Richards was the drummer, and he's so subtle. He's the kind of drummer that when he plays a backbeat, he's listening to the lyric because he wants to know how much punctuation he's going to put on that line. That's Rick. Yeah. And he's been touring with who's the Fifth Eagle? It all escapes me now. But anyway, he's out there among the greats. And he spent the week with us in making these tracks. And then Chris Marsh was on bass, and the wonderful Colin Brooks played electric guitar and dobro, resonator guitar, and sang with you on this record.
He did, and yeah, he did all over it.
And we don't know what happened to Colin. I wish somebody would tell me where Colin is. I can't find him. I'm worried.
Yeah.
I think when Carrie Elkin was on, she said that he's like farming somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, okay. he's like, I figure he is just taking himself into a private life, and that's probably exactly. I think it's what we all like to do a lot of the time.
Yeah, makes sense.
By the way, Nathan's working while I'm playing with you guys. So.
Hi, Nathan.
Yeah, we should point out again that Billy Crockett is joining us from his working studio where this record was made. And so, sometimes recording studio work has to happen all the time.
Do you know what I remembered listening to this? I remembered a moment where, like, the record was nearly done, or maybe just a few tracks were done, but we were all listening in the control room together. And I had never played with a band before, and I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know what they cost. I didn't know any of it. I didn't know who the important people were that they were playing with. You know, none of it. And I was just like, man, you guys are amazing. Like, you guys are so good. Like, when can we do this again? You know, I was just like totally innocent about it. You know, and one of them, I don't remember, it might have been Rick, but one of them said, you know, you just work on playing those gigs, and you play a lot of gigs, and it might take you like 10 years. It might take you a while, but like eventually, like, you're going to be just as much of a rock star as everybody in this room, and you're going to be on a big stage. And he goes, and we'll meet you there.
That's awesome. And I love that.
Fantastic.
I love that. And I also feel like it's so appropriate because, you know, you just put out this new record called Working Woman, and it's getting like all this press, much deserved, and topping the charts. And, and it's been let's see. You know, this was 2009. A little over 10 years. So it kind of makes sense. So Billy, I would love to know, when you were recording these tracks with this amazing band, were you guys tracking things, or were you playing live?
Live with guide track demos. Mm-hmm. And so we're set up so that we can do full ensembles. simultaneously, and that's where all the good energy is.
Yeah.
Everybody's listening. Everybody's, that's the holy grail of the musical collaboration, is to understand what you're receiving and respond to it.
Mhm.
And that's probably true in relationships and everything.
Uh-huh.
But it's so good when you have musicians that are confident, and then they can be listening while they are bringing it,
Mhm.
So that's what we love, and that's what we were able to do on this record.
Yeah, and in that and in your space, which again, if any of you ever have the opportunity to go to Blue Rock, I really can't describe it, because the studio is amazing for all you gearheads, but also the whole. What do you call Blue Rock? Oh, first of all, look at that. Just look at that for all you studio people. How many channels are even on
Eat
that
your
thing?
heart out. Yeah.
But also, there's a performance space in there that folks stay and work and create art there. It's amazing. So, Billy, do you want to say anything else about Blue Rock? About, I don't know, what's your elevator pitch for Blue Rock?
Sure. Yeah, it's a destination studio, and we try to help you turn off the world and remember what you love. That's it.
Wow.
Just that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And Ellen, I was remembering in some of our Red House days, that you guys were down here, and that you were here for our Southwest in 2009.
Yes.
And played our Southwest stage.
I did. I played at Blue Rock, and it was like such a highlight to play like in that space with those people. Everyone was it was like a listening audience. And during South by, as you know, that's so rare. It's like usually you're at a bar or tucked in a corner, and everyone was so respectful, and the space and the sound was so glorious. It was amazing. And I was like, I can't believe I get to play here with all these great people, because you had such, again, you're like a magnet, Billy, of all this talent that just comes to your space. And it's beautiful.
We try our best to reduce the resistance. A lot of artists need the resistance, but there's plenty of it. So we try our best to make things flow, and that's a holy word for us.
Yeah.
And if we can get into that space, and then ideas happen and songs get made that, as Chris Smither said to me, you gave us the chance to astound ourselves.
I love that.
That is
That's
amazing.
So great. Wow.
And I've included the link right here to the studio, and you guys can sort of check it out. And again, it's pretty amazing. And well, let's get into another song right here. The next track Grace, that you wanted to feature from this 2009 release is "What You Didn't Want to Know." Is there anything you want us to know ahead of this song?
I'm in a band called Nobody's Girl with Rebecca Loby and Betty Sue, and we just did a cover of Eliza Gilkison's Beauty Way, which is a song about being a songwriter and the artist path, and just sort of the treacherousness of it in spite of the beauty of it. And it's really from like the perspective of someone who's been walking it for a while. And this song is like almost the polar opposite of that. It's like somebody who really is just like, I was just sort of figuring it out. Like, what does it even mean to like be the person on a stage talking to other people, to be the person with the microphone? Like, what does that mean? Like, what's their role? What's my role? And what is the songwriting piece of it? What is the performer piece of it? And where am I, the authentic human, in that? And just like all those kind of questions. So this was one of the songs where I was, I guess, figuring that out in real time.
Can I echo that for just a second? I remember this time for you, Grace, as a girl who is coming to terms with the world as big and as frightening and as full of possibilities as you imagined it to be, who is coming to terms with your emerging womanhood, who is coming to terms with your emerging gift and sense of call about it. And this song is, I might say, my favorite on the record, because it is such a beautiful, articulate confession about what you carry, and you don't know the power of it yet, but you're just beginning to sense it.
Thank you, Billy.
Okay, this is Grace Pettis with What You Didn't Want to Know. You're hearing it here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
You know she's leaving. Maybe she's already gone. At any rate, everything is broken and it's all wrong. And that's why you were crying all through my last sad song. And I'm sorry. I'm the weatherman, I can't command the falling snow. I'm the one who tells you what you didn't want to know. So I'm here with my guitar, and you're out there in your chair. But who's to say this ain't bigger than the both of us here? Who's to say the voice is more important than the ear? I don't know. But I'll be your performer, I'll give you a show. 'Cause I'm the one who tells you what you didn't want to know. And music is a funny thing. It can fill you up with anger, it can bring you to your knees. But I follow the muse wherever she leads. Last night I was dreaming, asleep in my bed. She came in, sat down beside me, and spoke these words to my head. And I wished I could forget all of the things she said. And I'm sorry, but she will not be refused, will not let us go. I'm the one who tells you what you didn't want to know.
All right. Grace Pettis here on the Back Catalog Listening Party with What You Didn't Want to Know. And I don't know if such a beautiful song. Everyone else was just like, yeah, wow, wow. And yeah.
You know, I am remembering now that there was a line in there. You know, I'm here with my guitar. I think it was originally, I'm here with my guitar and you're there in your chair or something like that. And I think Billy was like, what about out there? And that was like, I remember that. Like, it was a really subtle change, but I remember being like, oh wow, that's way better. And also there's a chord in there that the mind, like the, not a melody thing. The melody was the same, but there's like a, I'm not sure. It's like a, well, if it was in G, it would be like a B minor. So it's like a 3 minor chord.
Yes.
And that was a Billy edition. That was a Billy going like, you know, cause I only knew like 3 chords. So Billy was like, why don't you try this weird one? And I was like, I don't think I can play that. And he was like, here, try these 3 just with 3 fingers, you know, and like, see if you can do that. And so that's how that chord made it into that song and into my like toolbox. Yeah. So he was my songwriting mentor before he was my producer. So a lot of these songs, I would take them to Billy, and it's not like he wrote them with me, but he would go like, you need to rewrite that verse. And then I would go home and write it again and bring it back.
Well, you know, that is so crucial to have someone like that in your life at all stages of your artistic career, but especially when you're starting out, is to have someone that you trust who can give you that feedback and offer suggestions and be a sounding board. And one of the things I love about this record in particular, and Billy, your production of it, is that like in that song, compared to say the one before, the Love Is There with that R&B feel, both great songs, but of course totally different lyrics, and they need different things. And I love the sensitivity to the song lyric and those details, that you allow a song like the one we just heard to be a little more acoustic and not like be crowded out by a lot of instruments. It's really lovely.
Oh, good. Thank you. I want to tell you too, I'm just sitting here thinking of what a gift it is to have we make songs and they go out, and we very rarely get to come into a level of listening and engagement about it with people. And it means a lot. So I just thought maybe I'd just say this show is a remarkable thing in that it's savoring songs at a level that the artists crave.
Yeah, that is definitely well, it's true, and we don't often get to have the producers on the show unless the artist was like part of that process. And actually, it's funny. Joe says, "Oh, we need Tony here for this." So my co-host Tony is again loves this stuff. He's gonna be so sad he missed this conversation. But I think that is what makes the back catalog special. It's why we started it, is because we love songs and we're music geeks, and we want to know what went into not the writing of the song and the production of it, and also see how people feel about the songs now. And it's been so cool to hear both of you offer. You probably have you had totally different experiences making the record, but hearing your reflections on that is so special because, so often we're just talking about our new record, which is awesome and great. You want people to know about it, but time does such, ages things.
It does. So, yeah, it's interesting.
That's great. And I should just point out.
Plug in.
Oh, nice. Definitely, we don't want to lose you like you lost me earlier. So I do want to take this moment to mention to everyone listening out there that if you have any questions for Grace or Billy about this project or anything else, throw them in the comments to make sure that we get to them before the end of today's show. I had also thrown up that link to Blue Rock Studio as well, so you can check out what Billy's up to there. I do want to mention, Grace, that you have this new record out called Working Woman. Yes. Speaking of the new stuff, we want to make sure people know you have new stuff so they can get that as well as your new record, as well as this record. And you also are even playing in-person shows again, as is evidenced by you being on the road. So they can go to your website for the latest details.
Yeah. My website, just myname.com. And I am playing a couple shows again. It's very strange and exciting and terrifying and wonderful. And happy to be doing it.
I love it. And there's the website. And also I know that we had Betty Sue on a few weeks ago. And again, you're in a band with her, Nobody's Girl, and you guys have a record coming out too at the end of July. So busy
we do.
times.
This is like my record just came out in May, and the Nobody's Girl record comes out in July. And we normally would never do that. Like we normally space things out appropriately to give everybody time, but our record was supposed to come out a year ago, and just pandemic happens. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Whereas we're a vocal harmony trio, so we couldn't do anything at all to promote it that sounded anything like the record. So we made the decision to push it back. And luckily, my label Empress was really gracious about working with Nobody's Girl's label Lucky Hound, and we're negotiating it. But this is like my Venn diagram month, where like I'm getting interviews for like both things, and
and then we come in and talk to you about neither of those projects.
yeah but I'm here.
I love it. And I also want to say, well, first of all, let's dig into one more song, because I don't want to get to, because I want to at least get to one more. So the next one we have queued up, Grace, that you picked out was Little Light. Is there anything you want to say about this?
I think the bridge sounds like, every time I hear it, I'm like, that's me being influenced by the Beatles. But that's all I have. I don't know, Billy, do you have anything?
Let a Little Light is just the best feeling thing. It's just what you want. So yes, play it now.
You don't know where you are because you're blind in the dark, and you're feeling that fear and that doubt. When your candle burns dim, keep your hand against the wind. You can light it again if it goes out. Let a little light, let a little light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, shine, let a little light shine in this world. When it comes apart at the seams and the hurt is so deep, there are so many things a pair of hands can do. You can fold them in prayer, make fists at the air, just hold the hand next to you. You can let a little light, let a little light, let a little light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, shine, let a little light shine in this world. You can spend all your days being a party to that fear, drown the world in your tears. You can go down a blaze, light up the dark with your burning sacred heart. Let a little light, let a little light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, shine, let a little light shine in this world. Let a light shine, let a little light, let a light shine, let a little light, let a little light shine, shine, let a little light shine in this world. Let a little light shine, shine, let a little light shine in this world.
All right. Grace Pettis with Little Light. Sounded like a big light to me, but that
Man,
was
Angie Kogut singing on that. I had forgotten how good she is.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how good she is, but how good she is on that track.
yeah.
She's in a band called the Matchmaker Band in Austin, and they do a lot of fun gigs. So if you guys are listening, you should go check her out. But she's amazing. I met her through some folks at Riverbend, which is a church out in Austin. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, such a great. I love it. I agree with Billy. Everything about that track is what I need right now. right now.
Aw.
And I think it's kind of the perfect way to wrap things up today on the back catalog listening party. I do want to ask a little bit about so that board, Billy, that you showed us a little snapshot of, which captured
Yes.
these amazing sounds. It's a very unique and board. Is there anything you want to tell maybe the novices and the people who don't know about it?
Well, it is the swan song great achievement of the iconic, world-renowned designer of audio, Rupert Neve, who is the late great Rupert Neve just now. He passed away about a month ago. And we've developed a deep and wonderful, abiding friendship. And if I can, it is a friendship. And even though I was a total nerd and acolyte and and fanboy, but yeah, just to show you, I think you can maybe see that. This is what is now a classic 5088, and it is full analog technology, which was his specialty, and he is very deservedly known as the father of modern recording consoles. And he helped George Martin make records for the Beatles. He helped, and his gear helped.
Sorry,
probably.
who? No.
Yeah. Right, exactly. They needed something groundbreaking for the Air Studios in Montserrat, and that was a Rupert Neve signature console. And so we had the great privilege of working together with him to build Blue Rock, and then we got to test his prototypes for years, and we still do that because his company is still here, alive and well. Rupert Neve Designs, and they have their fingerprints all over Blue Rock, and we're so grateful for that surprise relationship. We did not know when we moved to Wimberley. We didn't know he was here too. How did this British designer get to Wimberley, Texas? Is another story. But anyway, thank you for asking. We're so proud of it. Yeah.
I remember that time I was at, I guess I was at Blue Rock a couple times, but I remember the first time I was out there, again, there's all these like artists and kind of music industry people and plenty of like recording geeks who are out there. And I remember, I think it was Eric Peltonimi at the time was like, did you know Rupert Neve's here? And like he was like all excited, and then he was like, you got to check this out. And like it was just like everyone was just like, that's like, I was like, yeah, but there's music, and they're like, yeah, but look at this.
Yeah. I remember when I went and heard him talk. The first time I heard him speak was at Blue Rock for like a South by thing, and that was the first time I met him. He was so sweet, so kind, so I don't know, like he just had this kind of air of like humility and graciousness about him. But I remember he was speaking, and he had a theory. And again, this is like in like 2009 or something. So Napster, right? Context. But he had this theory that like the algorithm that compresses a sound wave a billion bajillion times and turns it into an MP3, like chops off, I'm sure I'm getting the science of this wrong, but like chops off the top and bottom of like the wave basically. And then your ear like fills in the missing information. And that's how it's kind of like an image that you blow it up and then it's like fuzzy, you know? So it's like your ear kind of fills in the missing information, just like your eye does for like an impressionist painting or something.
Interesting.
And he had a theory that was the reason that my generation was so angry.
Yeah.
Because
we weren't getting all the sounds.
We were unfulfilled, like on this deep subconscious level, and we didn't know why.
Oh,
and
wow.
And he was like, and you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket, but you're all frustrated and you don't know why. And I was just like, oh my God, like it was just blew my whole. But he was so cool. And I remember one of the last things that he did, Billy, was during your COVID series at Blue Rock, where you just sort of they were very intentional about it, and they did it right. But every now and then they had a musician come in, just the musician, no audience. And they did a live stream from Blue Rock during the pandemic to help support a lot of the musicians that were suffering from having no gigs, like myself and my dad. And what Rupert did was he gave like his brand new DI that was like, that's now I have it at gigs and it's like coveted, and all the sound guys are like, is that what I think it is? Like, but he just gave them to all the musicians that played this series. Like
that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, speaking of songs, you were talking about this. You might have all these songs in your pocket. So Chris has a question I want to make sure to get to before we wrap things up today. He said he's working on writing his first song on a banjo with Tony, our co-host here on Back Catalog. But it's really easy to think it can be better. Have you had the same experience? So I guess sort of the question is like, yeah, how do you know when a song is done? Is it ever done? Maybe that's a more philosophical question.
I mean, I think it's different for different people. I feel like when it's done, when it's DNA, when its major DNA is finished, like you kind of know, you sort of know. And if it's bugging you, if you try playing it out and it's bothering you, then it's probably not done. Like you probably need to take it back and listen to that. That's your like songwriter conscience going, you can do better, I agree with that. You can ignore that. You can ignore that and be like, it's fine. But if it's bugging you, like, but a lot of people write and rewrite songs like a million times over the years. I've never been that way. Are you that way, Billy? Like, do you rewrite old stuff?
Did you ever hear the story of Picasso running through the museum trying to fix the paintings that everyone already knew?
No.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so I do get that.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
But it's like this record. It's like it's a moment in time, and like, am I a better singer now? Yes, but also like, this is where you were, this is where I was, like,
Right.
and we have that in Amber now, and that's
And I think that is what makes records so special is that it will never be more than that moment, and the live song might evolve and turn into these other things, but the record will always be that record. And I kind of love that. It is a kind of a time capsule, which is one of the things we love here on the Back Catalog Listening Party is to unearth this capsule, and we can all get joy from mining through all the little treasures that you left us. So this is great. And Chris was grateful for your thoughts on that. And I agree with that. I feel like if it's something is bugging you, and usually you don't know until sometimes you play it for someone else, and then you kind of cringe and you're like, ooh, well, I just want to thank both of you for taking the time to be with us, and my apologies for the little technical glitches at the beginning, but it was worth it because we got to hear all these great songs from this debut from Grace Pettis. Came out in 2009. And again, we were talking about the audio quality sort of at the end and the equipment that went into it. It sounds amazing if you're listening to the real full high fidelity version. So I don't know, do you still have CD copies? Grace?
I do, although I think I only have a couple. So I need a reprint. Yeah, but
this is all to say, you folks out there, if you want a copy of Grace's record, you should order it now at gracepettis.com because it really does sound amazing. Whether you're hearing it on the YouTubes but I will say it's another level of experience.
Maybe one day we'll put it on vinyl and we'll listen to Rupert Neve's voice in our ears saying like, you can do better than this MP3.
Joe, I appreciate this comment too.
Everybody works hard so that we can have an experience like today. Ellen, thank you.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for being here. I also want to mention that, again, you can check out Billy's music, Grace's music, all online. They all have great albums, and they're starting to perform out. Billy, I heard you're starting to perform out again too?
I am,
no?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I will just plug Billy for a second too, because we've been talking about him in the context of being a producer and having the studio, but he is an incredible songwriter. He's my songwriting mentor. His songs are exquisite gems, every one of them, and he's got some great records out there, some of them even new. So go and check them out on your Spotify or whatever you do.
Yeah. And I also want to mention that Grace also has a Patreon, so it's a great way of supporting artists during this time. And so you can go to patreon.com/Grace Pettis. And also, I should mention that we have a Patreon, and this is what keeps our show going from week to week, because this is a labor of love, but it takes a little money to keep the StreamYard rolling and the technical stuff happening. And so we want to thank these folks who generously support the show from week to week. Our Patreon patrons: Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Court, and Dave, and maybe you. And if you want to support it, you can join our Patreon right there, Back Catalog Listening Party. When you do, you'll get, first glimpse into our guest artists. We have some great ones planned that we haven't even told our Patreon members about, but we're excited to. And we are going to be doing a live event in August in Minnesota. We also do Zoom after parties for our top tier patrons and special online concerts. So there's lots of cool things you can get, but mainly we just want to thank you for being here, because without you all, this wouldn't be as fun. This is why we do it, to engage with you. And thank you, David, for joining us, and Grace, Billy, thank you for being here. It really wouldn't be the same show if it was just me glitching in and out. People would not hang around for that.
I think we all glitched it at some point. Yeah,
I think so.
But listen, thank you so much for having me and for talking about this record, which is a record I'm really proud of, but that I don't know that like the people who listen to my music have necessarily heard. And And thank you, Billy, for taking the time to come and do this. Yeah.
Really nice to be with you, Grace, and be careful out there in the storms, and have a great trip. And everybody, and congratulations for the new project, Working Woman.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are on a good roll, dear, and and we miss you, but we love you and really celebrate all you're doing.
Thank you, Billy. Yeah, I miss you guys too.
Well, thank you all for joining us. If you liked the episode, like it on YouTube, give it the thumbs up so the bots will direct more people to Grace and Billy's stuff, and they can engage with the show. And if you like the show, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified of upcoming shows and all of that. So thank you all, and have a wonderful week. We'll see you back here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party. Grace, Billy, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Alan. Bye.
Have a good week.